Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 Tune in to TLS. Yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show. Coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. Today, we've got Jeremy L. Luberts, law enforcement veteran, author, and he's diving deep into the chilling Byron Smith murder case. It's changed his life forever. Should be interesting. Then we've got some hot topics. Logan Paul's energy drink Prime is under fire from Congress. Then the Supreme Court kills affirmative action. It's about diversity or race-based favoritism. And Britney Spears is slapped in the face. Stay tuned because it's about to get heated. If it's your first time tuning in to our new time, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, you can watch us live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch TV, and TruthLiesShenanigans.com. But we'll be checking your comments on YouTube and Facebook. Just search at TLS Live Show. Also, look for our official audio podcast on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Pods, PODZ Network.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Let me introduce you to my fun co-hosts. First up today, we have our nature lover, gamer, rock star, coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Robbie Rock.
What's up, my friends? Hey, happy hump day. What a great week off. I was actually on holidays last week with Joe, and it was just
nice.
gorgeous. We had a nice little heat wave, so the sun was present most of the week, and so we got to enjoy the pool and getting on the lake. Joe and I also celebrated our 7-year anniversary.
Congratulations! 7 years. It's amazing.
Yeah. And we opted not to share any of it on our socials because it's our day, not for the internet.
Fair enough. Yeah, because I had no idea. I mean, normally I would have. I have an idea. I keep up with your socials, so I had no idea.
I know. Theo does.
But congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congrats,
It's
Rob.
been
Congrats,
absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it was my daughter's birthday last week also. We had our nieces over for a sleepover, worked in the yard, the garden. Life is good, my friends.
Yeah, you guys are a fantastic couple, so that's really, really awesome.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Thanks,
All right.
Very nice.
All right,
Lucky.
next up, our college student model business owner, streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Gianni Storm.
Hey, everybody. I missed you so much, but I did also have a good little break. I didn't really do much for my birthday. As you guys know, it was on the 7th. I just kind of went to brunch. I went to the movies. I was just soaking in the fact that I'm alive and just kind of being grateful.
Well, we're
So,
glad you're
no,
alive.
Yeah. Yes.
We're grateful for that.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, me too. So I was just reflecting and kind of just reflecting, kind of just like, you know how when you are in your 20s and you're hitting 30 soon, and then it's like a whole life shift about to happen and you want to accomplish certain goals. So I'm in that like midlife crisis. So
I'm
trying to get
midlife
that.
crisis.
Crisis at
Sweetie.
27, 28.
No,
What are you, 28,
yeah.
right?
28,
Oh.
yes.
Okay.
It happens
You're
early
reaching a
to some people.
crossroads. You're reaching
Yeah,
a crossroads.
true.
I'll give you that. A midlife
Ooh.
crisis. No, that usually happens in your 40s.
I mean, when
Not
are you
yet.
planning to die? I mean, that's the question.
No.
I mean,
Oh, no.
please don't go that early.
No, it's a lot, but I've had a really good birthday and I had a really good break. So
Yeah, it was 4th of July, and yeah. Oh, yeah, and we'll say happy birthday again to you. Since we're back
Thank
after
you.
your birthday. We said happy birthday before. You're back now after your birthday. All right.
Like bookends. Got it.
All right. And I am, of course, your host, Neo Nix. All right. I know we talk about AI all the time, but my niece Simone, she stayed over with us this weekend, and
Oh,
she's,
Simone.
yeah, she's about to go and be a senior in high school. And I was asking her how her school is dealing with AI, like ChatGPT. And she said, of course, all her
Yeah.
friends are using it
question.
but then she said, um, at one point, one of her teachers told their class that they had a faculty meeting about ChatGPT, and he thought they were going to be like coming up with ways to combat it, like to stop it. And instead,
Yeah.
just like we had talked about, they told the teachers to start creating assignments that use ChatGPT. So
Oh
he
my
ended up
goodness.
asking the students to come up with an
Adapting.
interesting use. Exactly. He asked them to come up with an interesting use for ChatGPT and then to analyze the results. And then Simone, she's got this crazy infatuation with Harriet Tubman for some reason. And she ended up asking ChatGPT to create a rap song as if Harriet Tubman wrote it.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, that's so
wonderful.
Yeah, she got like
I
she said
love
she got an
that.
A. Her teacher was impressed and everything. So it was
Wow,
pretty,
Simone.
but you know,
Very cool.
they're changing. You know, if you think about it, like our generation, it was Google, right? You know, when Google hit and they were talking about, oh, people are going to use Google to cheat because now you don't need encyclopedias anymore, and you don't need to go to
Yep,
the library to
exactly.
look stuff up. You know, I think
Yeah.
we just got to
Times are
adjust.
changing.
We just got to adjust.
Yeah.
Old people want to stick to the old stuff.
Like,
And
that's a QWERTY
ChatGPT is so
keyboard.
useful.
I'm old. It is. ChatGPT
Classic though.
is basically the future.
It's a new tool. It's a
Yeah.
new tool that we need
Yeah.
to learn how to use responsibly. Because even a search
they're only
engine,
Okay,
gonna
that's
get
fair.
more.
That's fair. You say responsibly.
because even a search engine, if used improperly, can lead people down the wrong garden path.
True.
Fair
Yep,
enough.
that's true.
Fair
You
enough.
can get in trouble. Plagiarism.
Fair enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Let's get into the show. We got a fantastic guest for you today, so let's go ahead and bring him in. All right. Today we are thrilled to welcome Jeremy Luberts, a second-generation law enforcement officer who spent nearly 3 decades with the Morrison County Sheriff's Office. He's here to share his experiences and insights from his new book about the Byron Smith murder case. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks
for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. First question I have to ask. Can you tell us something the world cannot find out about Google about you? I cannot talk today. I don't know what it is. I was doing this pre-show.
But Google
Something that if they were looking on Google right this minute, that they can't find out about you.
I have an identical twin brother. His name is Jamie.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
yeah, throughout the
Nice.
years, we were involved in a twin study with the University of Minnesota.
Sweet.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
So a twin study. So what did that entail?
Well, I know, some of the tests were kind of weird. I mean, at least I thought they were. So the last one I did, my brother and I, we were called down to the university. They wanted to do a test, and they had they looked like shower caps with electrical probes all over the top of it.
No
And they squirt.
way.
Oh yeah, they squirt
Like in
this
the movie.
clear jelly in there, and then they take it and then they put it on your head. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
like,
okay.
yeah, and then they sit you down in this dark room in front of this TV monitor, and then they
Oh my
show you
goodness.
pictures. Yeah, and so they're flashing pictures of things. You see a nice scene, I suppose they're looking for brain activity,
Yeah.
to see what your brain's thinking or taking in. So I see a nice
Yeah.
See if
scene.
you-
I see a dog, I see a cat, or I see a wilderness, something like that. Then all of a sudden I see a bad accident scene where somebody's killed or something like that. That never bothered me. Being a deputy, I see that stuff all the time,
Mhm,
Then
mhm.
all of a sudden,
Yeah.
more nice scenes and then a flash picture of a naked girl. Whoa. Now, I have to admit,
Really?
that kind of caught my attention.
I bet it did. Question is, did it catch your brother's attention too?
I'm
He said
sure.
the same thing. So it might have been a spike in brain activity on that part. Maybe that's what they're looking for. I don't know. Brain.
That's
All right,
hilarious.
Jeremy.
Oh my
So,
God.
so you were born and raised in Little Falls, Minnesota, small town in the central Minnesota. How did growing up in a small town shape your perspective on like law enforcement? How did it influence your decision to follow in your father's footsteps? Because you said you were second generation.
Sweet.
I am, and actually, I'm following in my uncle's footsteps. My uncle was the sheriff of Morrison County, where I work and live.
Oh wow.
Wow.
For years, yep, for years when I was a kid. So then I followed in his footsteps, followed in my uncle's. He was an investigator also, and I became the lead investigator of my department, Morrison County Sheriff's Office, and was the lead investigator for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
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 So what's it like being in a small town like that? I mean, it seems like, I live in Washington, D.C. area. I mean, I've gone through small towns, but what is it like, that small town?
It's awesome, really. I mean, they say in a small town everybody knows everybody, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, is that
it
true?
was better for
Like family.
yeah, it is true. It
Okay.
is. Yeah, I mean, you know a lot of people because there isn't there isn't hundreds of thousands of people in one area. We have 35,000 people that roughly live in my county, in Morrison County. And then our biggest city is Little Falls, and you got 8,300 people living in Little Falls. So
8,300.
yeah, it's a pretty rural area, and but
Yep.
a big area to cover, and it's a lot
Nice.
of woods, a lot of farmland.
Beautiful.
So yeah, beautiful, really, a lot of lakes. Everything.
So I'm assume
And
small towns like
one
that.
other thing. Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I assume small towns like that don't often get major murder cases. And that's what your book is about. The Byron Smith case. Like, it involves a retired homeowner who sets a trap for burglars, resulting in the death of 2 teenagers, right? And it stirred up like this
Yep.
national debate over this castle doctrine law. So can you share how it impacted you personally? Tell us a little bit about the story and what it was like getting a case like this in such a small town.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've investigated multiple different murder cases, but nothing like this.
Hmm.
So it's something that just doesn't happen in our area. It happened in November of 2012. I got called to it, being the lead investigator. It was in the county, just out of the city limits. And it was a case that 2 teenagers, you had 17-year-old Nicholas Brady and his cousin, 18-year-old Haley Kiefer, that broke into Byron Smith's home. Byron was retired, and what happened was Byron had been broken in before, back in October. My identical twin brother, Deputy Jamie Luberts, who worked for the same department as I do, actually took that call and investigated that burglary case. Well, me being one of the lead investigators at the department, Jamie told me about the case, and we were trying to develop a suspect in the case. We haven't developed one yet. Well, Byron, in the meantime, was really upset. He was kind of a recluse, lived alone in his home that he grew up in. Had lived there for a little while with his mom. His mom passed away, and then he, of course, was living there by himself, never married, and what I found out with Byron is he had a hard time with anybody ever. He felt that if anybody ever ganged up on him or picked on him or something like that, he was revengeful. He wanted to get his revenge.
Goodness.
And that's what
Okay.
happened in this case. So he had set a trap to catch on Thanksgiving Day, November 2012. He set a trap, try to catch who's ever breaking into his house. How did he set this trap? And I had to discover this. He parked his vehicle away, a block away from his house on a dead end cul-de-sac. And then he walked back to his house. He had a chair set up downstairs in his basement at the bottom of the steps. There were bookshelves, and in between he had this chair so nobody could see him. And he sat there with a bottle of water, energy bars, and a book. And he was sitting there waiting to see if anybody broke in. He removed the light bulbs from the light fixture so that nobody could see him sitting in this chair.
Wow.
The only way somebody would see him is if they walked down the steps. So,
Wow.
yeah. So what happened then when Nick came along and actually did break into his house, was walking down the stairs. Byron shot him. Nick tumbled to the bottom of the steps. He's hurt. He's wounded. Nick did not have any weapons on him. He was looking to, burglarize Byron's house, take what he could, steal what he could. And, but Byron, because this happened before, he was mad. He wanted his revenge on this. He shot the guy who's wounded at the bottom of the steps, didn't have a weapon. At that point, Byron could have called law enforcement and reported this for help, right? He doesn't. Right. What he does is he goes up and he executes him. He shoots Nick again in the head, killing him. Well, he had a tarp nearby. This is a story that Byron's told me after I made contact with him.
So Byron told you this story.
Yeah, I got a full confession from him, and that is hard to do in any case. Because of the way I treated him from the very beginning. Anytime I deal with somebody, I kill them with kindness, and I treat everybody I deal with kindness, understanding, and respect. The way I've always treated anybody in my career. Yes, and it pays off in the end. I like to kill people with kindness because that's the way I would want to be treated if I was, if I was in their shoes. So I always paid people that respect. And it's always came back to pay me back in full. How? Because even when people I've arrested would get out of jail or prison or anything like that, they'd see me when I'm out grocery shopping. They'd come up, they'd make it a point to come up and talk to me and tell me how they're turning their life around. I tell you, I loved hearing that. It was a great, thing to hear because that's my passion in life, was to help people. That's what I love to do. That's why I became a cop to begin with.
Wow.
So getting back to the case. So then Byron, after he shoots and kills Nick, he wraps him in a body in a tarp, drags him off to this back office room that he has in the basement. 11 minutes later, Haley Kiefer, his cousin, comes into the house. She's looking for Nick. She was with him, and she walks to the top of the stairs. She's calling for Nick, but there's no answer. She walks down the stairs, and Byron shoots her. She falls. She tumbles to the bottom of the steps. She's laying there wounded. Byron goes to finish her off, and the gun jams. There's a click, and the gun jams. And he goes, I want her dead. So he had a revolver at his side. He pulls the gun out and shoots her multiple times in the chest and in the face. He actually shot her in the eye.
Oh my goodness.
He takes her body, drags her back, and puts her body next to Nick's in this back office room on the car. The reason he did that, because he told me, is he didn't want any blood. He didn't want all this blood soaking into his carpet at the bottom of the step.
Oh my God.
That's why he did that. That's why he wrapped the body in the carpet and moved him off. Yeah, and then, but Haley's still breathing. She's still alive. He tells me. So he tells me I can't stand. He tells me I can't stand to see any animals or humans suffer. So he puts the gun underneath her chin, and he goes, I gave her a good, clean finishing shot, and kills her, and finishes her off. I got that information from him in his statement. Well, and one of the biggest pieces of evidence we found in this case, and this is something he did not disclose me. So Byron worked for the Department of Homeland Security,
really
putting security systems in embassies, and he did this a lot overseas. And so he was like he set up surveillance cameras and all this stuff. He had surveillance cameras set up at his house, 4 cameras, but they were all outside. He had nothing inside. Well, we got good evidence from them. It was very revealing. You could see what Byron did, parking his truck away from his house, and you can see the kids walking up to the house. And incidentally, it only took an hour. When he was setting his trap, he parked his truck away and walked back. It only took an hour until Nick and Haley came to the house.
And he knew these kids before, right?
He knew Nick. And how did he didn't know Haley, but he knew Nick.
Okay.
Because Nick had done lawn work for him.
Okay.
He had actually done some lawn cleaning and stuff like that at his house. Well, see, that's how Nick knew about how to break into Byron's place.
There.
And gave him ideas of what he had at the house. Oh, yeah.
Sneaky.
So I ended up arresting Byron in this case. He was charged for 2 counts of first-degree murder. Ultimately, there was a trial. And during this trial, of course, the Castle Doctrine law came into play. The news media hyped up the Castle Doctrine like you wouldn't believe. And what that did is it caused people, I had half my community grateful for the job I did, and the other half mad at me because they thought Byron was innocent, that he had the right to shoot and kill these people because they broke into his house.
Can you
Well,
quickly explain the castle doctrine and what that is?
yes. So the castle
Yeah.
doctrine law is very similar to like a stand your ground type law. Minnesota does not have the castle doctrine law, but we adopted the same principle. So what the castle doctrine law basically is that people are the king of their castle, right? You have the right to defend yourself in your home, and you have the right to use deadly force.
Which makes
The problem
sense.
is with Minnesota law, they take it a step further and they say it has to the amount of force used has to be reasonable.
Yes, thank you.
Reasonable
And,
force.
That makes sense to me.
Yes, and this is where the trouble came in with what Byron did. The amount of force he used was not
Unreasonable.
because of the fact that we proved that he had set up. I was able to prove he set up this
Premeditated.
trap. It was all premeditated.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. The holy grail piece of evidence was a digital recorder he had sitting in a bookshelf above his reading chair that he didn't tell us about, but I found it during the search warrant. And it copied everything. You can hear the whole incident, the shooting.
Oh my
You can hear
goodness.
the break-in. You can hear, and Byron was monologuing before the break-in. He was talking
Monologuing.
about, he was
Wow.
talking about calling his brother and saying, "Hey, something happened here. I need you to come here, park away from the residence, walk to the house this way." Then he was talking about practicing calling an attorney.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking for an attorney. I need help with something. Well, then you hear the break-in and that happened, and then of course the shooting and everything.
Wow.
Well, when he told me in his statement that I took from him, this was really interesting. He said that when Haley was laying wounded at the bottom of the stairs, and I went to shoot her and my gun jammed, she laughed at me. Well, that was a red button for me. He goes, I just took my gun and shot her and shot her. When you listen to the actual audio, she didn't laugh. There's no laughing. She's in pain and she's pleading with him. She's saying, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." That's what she's saying, and he tells me she's laughing at him. And it's this case
That's
also because of the castle doctrine law made people, especially gun rights owners, people permit to carry holders with firearms, made them very upset because everybody thought that law enforcement or the government was trying to take away people's rights to carry firearms or to possess them.
No.
And that is not the case in this matter
it's not the
at
case.
all. But people wanted to make it about that. What this case was about was one bad decision by one person, one individual person, Byron Smith. It was the evil choice that he made. It was not about taking people's guns away from them or owning and possessing them or carrying them. Nothing to do with that. I personally believe that people should have the right to own guns and carry guns as long as it's all done legal.
Agreed.
Right. So
there's some comments online real quick that I want to kind of get in here.
Sure.
So we've got from Jacqueline Robinson says, "Wait, I just saw this on Dateline."
Yes, I was on Dateline NBC, and I was also on Crime Watch Daily regarding this show.
Oh wow, that's awesome!
Wow.
And this is another question similar to the next question I was going to ask. But how do you in your book you mentioned that the Smith case? I'm sorry. You mentioned in your bio that the Smith case forever altered your life. Can you share more about that? And Olivia asked, how do you decompress, get this out of your mind and spirit? Or you, like a priest almost hearing a story. How do you decompress?
Very good question, Olivia. Was it Olivia you said?
Yes.
Very good question. Yeah. And the answer is you never can get this out of your mind. I will live with this for the rest of my life. Seeing those mutilated teens riddled with holes shot up in Byron's basement, I will never forget. It'll be with you for the rest of your life. How I deal with this stuff is my faith. I have a strong faith. I believe in God and Jesus Christ, and it's my faith that gets me by. And I also have a very positive attitude, a very positive outlook in life. It's just, I always strive to be a good person, and that's what gets me by, and always has, and always will. Yeah.
I've got another comment from Tracy Gore says, "I'm Canadian." From Tracy Gore, she says, "I'm Canadian, strongly against people owning guns for this exact reason." Rob?
Ah, man, everyone's just touching base on the questions that I've prepared. You're so eloquent, and Jeremy. Thank you so much for being so open and transparent about your story and your journey. Now,
Oh, absolutely.
I, I'm very curious what you would like for people to learn from your book. Not so much in the context of
curious
learning
about
about the case, but more along the vein of how we should function as a
And,
society.
and on top of that, I'd like to know what makes your book different than, say, for example, just reading about the news stories online. What makes your book different?
Right. The biggest thing about mine is I go into complete detail of the investigation into this case, and it outlines everything. I even have the 3 individual statements I took from Byron Smith are outlined in my book. So the reader will be able to
Wow.
actually read through and put theirself in my shoes to see what Byron was
Wow.
actually telling me in person.
Wow.
Yes, and then I also have actual stuff in there regarding from the grand jury hearing. I have questions that were asked to me from the grand jury members, and you'll be able to see all that. And then also, yeah, it's very in depth. I go into details too of what law enforcement officers do during these investigations and why we do it. I explain the process,
Mhm.
and it'll be very interesting to the reader to learn. A lot of people have questions like I even during their interviews, I interviewed juveniles during this case.
Mm.
Well, some people think
Oh,
that we
wow.
can't law
Like
enforcement
friends
can't
of the
interview.
victims?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay.
So some people think that we can't interview juveniles without the parents present or the parents' consent, right? You hear that a lot. I hear it
Yeah,
a lot. Well, that's absolutely
I've
not
heard
true.
it.
Law enforcement can interview juveniles, at least in Minnesota, we can,
Mhm.
without the
Yeah.
parents' consent. Why is that? Because sometimes the parents are the suspects in the matter.
Mm.
So why am I going to go to the
Mhm.
suspect to try to get consent to speak, with the juvenile when they're the victim,
I
or
hadn't
vice
thought about
versa, or
that.
the suspect?
Mm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
But we always use the Miranda warning when we talk with anybody. Miranda warning became a big issue in this case because people need to know what their legal rights. And if I had failed to ever give my legal, somebody their legal rights, the case could have been thrown out. But
Wow.
I was very adamant and very good about making sure Byron knew his rights the whole time he talked to me. In fact, the
Right.
third statement, I took 3 separate statements from him. And the third statement I took from it, he had talked to his attorney while in jail. And I still, because of the way I treated him, like I told you before, I treat everybody with kindness
Right.
and respect.
Respect.
Because of that, I was able to build up a great rapport with him to get beyond the Miranda warning, so I could talk to him and get what I needed.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, yeah,
nice.
there's an art
Warmed them
form
up.
to interviewing people, and
Yeah.
it's a learned art form that investigators get. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh, yeah. How this
Yeah.
case,
Absolutely.
going real quick, how this case affected my life. My community started because half the community thought that Byron was innocent, half thought that he was guilty. They started a coalition called the Byron Smith Coalition to raise funds for his defense. They had the
Mm.
meeting at the
Wow.
VFW all the time in Little Falls. Well, that group, um, every time they get done, or not every time, but a lot of times when they get done with their meeting, there would be a parade of cars past my residence and my brother's residence in town. I was married at the time. My wife was getting harassed because of, I
Oh
was
my
the arresting
goodness.
officer in the case. After the case was done, 2 years later, April of 2014, Byron was convicted for 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Mm.
The
Mm.
harassment
Good.
continued even on after that, even after he was convicted, because the coalition was still trying to raise money for his defense, for his appeal.
Wow.
My wife, can you imagine what a wife would have to go through with all this harassment going on? She was getting harassed constantly too. It was
Mm.
creepy. We had people driving by our house all the time. She couldn't take it anymore. Being the
Oh,
wife of an investigator, uh, she had no idea what it was going to be like. Three months after the trial was done, I ended up getting divorced
Oh
because
no.
she just couldn't handle the stress anymore. And I couldn't. I don't blame her. I couldn't blame her. I mean, I felt so sorry for my wife, and I signed on for that. That's
Yeah,
the
as a
career
police
choice.
officer.
That's
Hmm.
what I chose to
yeah.
do. It was my career. but she didn't. She didn't
Yeah.
sign on for that, and she couldn't take it anymore. And at the end, Nick and Haley lost their lives. They
Yep.
were shot and killed. They lost their lives. Byron lost his freedom, and I lost my family. That's how this case affected me. And it's all outlined in my book too, regarding that matter. No.
Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy,
Yanni.
thank you for being so honest.
Oh, yeah.
Now that you're retired, what kind of prompted you to want to share your knowledge and want to share your experiences with others, besides the fact that this, impacted your entire life? Yeah, like I said, what prompted you to want to share the knowledge and experience?
Thank you for asking that. It is an excellent question. The reason I want people to know about this, the reason I wrote the book, and I started this book back in 2014. I just completed it this year because I took my time
wow.
on it. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's the reason why I finally finished it. It's therapeutic. I want to get the message out to people. It is. It's
Yeah,
it's
I can see that.
therapeutic that I can talk about it to help. It's helping me heal by getting the word out.
Yep.
So, and I want people to know the truth because there were a lot of false things people were saying too about this case, and there's a lot of people that still think Byron was innocent, and people can have their opinions. I'm good with that, but at least listen, hear the whole story, and my book will tell you the whole story and all the facts, and then make your opinion, and whatever it is, so be it. But you'll see why I did what I did. People blame me in this case because I'm the one that was the lead investigator. It's not fair. And that's what I want people to know. Don't blame. How can you blame me? I wasn't on the jury. I
Right.
wasn't on the 12
Yeah.
panel jury. I was not one of the jury members sitting on that case to convict him. That wasn't me. I was not a judge who sentenced him to life in prison, for the rest of his life. I wasn't that judge. I wasn't the prosecuting attorney who charged Byron. I was the fact gatherer in the case. That was my job. So why are people blaming me?
Yeah. Jacqueline Robinson
Yeah.
says, I remember how shocked Byron's supporters were. I'm curious, do you think that he was justified in protecting his home? Obviously not with the level of violence that he chose, but do you think he was justified in
In
protecting his
general.
home from these intruders?
Yes, I absolutely think he was justified in protecting his home. In my opinion, Byron had every right to shoot these teenagers that broke into his house. He had the right to do that. By law, he had the right to do that. Where he took it too far is you do not have the right to execute people. Byron's dude, after he shot Nick, he's wounded at the bottom of the stairs. Clearly, is no longer a threat. By Minnesota law, this is what I believe, he should have rendered aid and called law enforcement
Police.
immediately. Byron
Yeah.
never called law enforcement in this whole case. He never called us. He sat on the bodies for 24 hours. How we found out about this the next day after it happened was that he called his neighbor, his friend, William Anderson, asking for him to help him find an attorney. Byron never called law enforcement. William Anderson, his neighbor, called him.
So who was the first person on the scene? Was that you?
I was the first person on the scene. I'm the one that made contact with Byron, investigated the whole matter, found the bodies in the basement, and did
Oh
the
my
statements from the whole investigation. I was involved in the whole
Wow.
investigation. And one thing I want to point out, I dedicated my book to Washington County Attorney Pete Orpett, a wonderful man. Pete Orpett came and prosecuted this case for Morrison County because the Attorney General's office refused to help us on the case. And why? Because we feel that it was because it was too political, because of the Castle Doctrine law. They didn't want to get involved at the time. That's what we felt. And so Washington County Attorney Pete Orpett stepped up and came in to assist us, and he was a wonderful attorney and just a great guy. He passed away now, but he set his life aside to come and help the residents of Morrison County, and I am forever grateful. Just a
Jeremy?
wonderful man.
Yeah.
I got to say, I mean, this is an exciting book, a story. The book sounds extremely interesting, especially from your
Very.
perspective, because your perspective is a unique one. Being the first on the
Yeah.
scene, being the one who did all the investigations. I mean, I'm really looking forward to reading that book and getting more and kind of
Yeah.
taking your route to that.
Perspective. Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
excited for people to read it, and I hope everybody enjoys it. Yeah,
And it,
my intent was to put people in my shoes, see what I had to go through, and see what I lived through, and get a feel for what it's like to be a law enforcement officer. Sometimes out there,
Oh
it's
yeah.
hard. The movies, TV loves to portray investigators in particular as being all this cool job, and everything, and it's all fun and games
Yeah.
and whatnot.
yeah.
And in real life,
Mhm.
it's far from that. This is
Oh my
people
goodness.
don't understand. People don't. Not everybody understands the impact such a case can have on a law on a, excuse me, on an officer's life, and they're going to
Yeah.
learn by reading my book what it was actually the impact it can have on
Yeah.
law enforcement. Oh yeah.
Wow.
I have to
Thank
commend
you.
you on maintaining such a positive, compassionate,
Yes.
loving attitude. It's truly remarkable. It's a testament to your character. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeremy.
Thank you, guys. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate that comment. It's my faith in God that does it for me. It really is, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so
Yeah.
that's all the time we
Yes.
have. Like I said, I appreciate your candor with us, and sharing your story. Please let people know where they can find you and find your book, and give us any final words or thoughts that you might have.
Sure. So my book will be coming out on Amazon in September of this year, 2023.
September. Okay.
And you can also find me on my Facebook page. All you have to do is type in Murder on Elm Street, a true life story. And otherwise, you can email me at murderonelmstreet@gmail.com for any questions.
Yep, and you'll find that link in our
Amazing.
description. So go ahead and check out Jeremy. Well, thank you again, Jeremy, for joining us. We really do appreciate you. It's a fantastic story, and your story is fantastic. I mean, it's so interesting, and I do feel for you and all you've been through with this case.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Jeremy.
I really
Okay.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what a story,
Wow.
man.
There are remarkable
We've never
people.
had this type of a guest on the show before. That's insane.
Yeah,
He's an
Yeah.
that
investigator
was
and he was
that was something else.
Yeah.
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 Very deep story. I mean, I can't
Ooh,
imagine
heavy.
him and what he went through. I mean, I can't imagine just showing up on the scene, seeing those two young people. I mean, I don't know. I just can't even imagine it. So it was great to hear
I
that
can't
story.
even.
Great to hear his story.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into some of these hot topics. Gianni, you're up first. Your girl, Britney. She claims she got slapped by security. What happened?
This is crazy. No, but to lighten things up a bit. So recently, this weird incident took place. A basketball player from the Spurs, Victor, and forgive me if I'm saying his name wrong, Wembanyama, was
That's
going
pretty
to a
close.
Las. That's close. Okay, He went to a Las Vegas restaurant when what people mistook as a fan was actually Britney Spears using a British accent. She tried to go up and get a picture with the athlete, and she came up and actually grabbed him from behind. That's when his security guard backhands Britney in the face hard enough that her glasses actually fall off. So some say Britney shouldn't have swarmed Victor. Since she's a celebrity, she knows that security is trained to protect. Britney disagrees, and a part of her statement afterward was, I think it's important to share this story and to urge people in the public eye to set an example and treat basically everybody with respect. But despite this embarrassing situation, Britney did file a police report, but no charges. My question to you guys, if you were Britney, would you press charges?
When I press charges, let me start off, RB. So what? Britney Spears got slapped, right? Now, looking at the video, first of all, so looking at the video, she definitely tapped Victor on the shoulder, right? And it wasn't a grab like Victor had claimed. He claimed that she grabbed him, but now the video was at a really bad angle. It's not clear if the security guard just kind of, tried to wave her away or actually hit her in the face. I don't know. It looked like it almost sort of looked like he kind of hit her in the
Stop
arm.
using an open hand. Stop using
Like
an
a
open
pop.
hand.
You see
It was
that?
closed. The hand
Was it?
was closed,
Yeah, like
my friend. Oh, heck
Okay,
yes.
all right,
It
so
comes down across the shoulder, just back.
My
but to
goodness.
block him, it
Oh,
almost
yeah.
looked like Britney hit herself in the face, though.
That's what people were saying.
Maybe to
initially.
protect herself.
No, but, I mean, yeah,
Maybe to
because
protect.
I think he was just trying to kind of wave her away, and then hit. It looked like he made her hit herself in the face. Anyway, now
That's why
if he,
the video is important.
right, but it was a little hard to see though. A little hard to see.
Yeah.
Now if he did straight up slap her, I don't think that's okay because I don't think you should just be slapping people, Britney or anyone else for that matter. A bit overkill, but if you think about it, it's security's job to protect their client. Any unexpected
Yeah.
contact, could be seen as a threat. So he was really just doing his job. And like you mentioned, Britney's a celebrity. She knows what it's like for people to run up on somebody, and then security security's going to have to do something about that. Somebody, I think she was in,
Chill.
but no, I think she was in her
Chill
I'm Britney
slut.
bitch mode. I think she was in her I'm Britney bitch. She figured she could
bold.
walk up. She's got that privilege. She could
Britney
walk up, and she could just tap him on the shoulder, and then everybody realized, oh, it's Britney, huh? But think
She
about
did
it.
not have that privilege.
What
Yeah.
what if the roles were reversed? Big ass 7-foot black man running up on Britney Spears. What would security been doing?
I
So
mean,
I'm just saying.
he looks. We would know who he is. Britney was using a fake accent, though.
What the heck was that about? That doesn't even
Yeah, I
make
don't
sense
get-
either. She
with
needs to
the
stop
British
whining. I'm saying
accent.
she needs to stop whining. So y'all, I don't know.
Yeah.
But would you press charges if you
Oh,
were
that's right.
her?
I forgot that was the question you asked. Would I press charges? I wouldn't press charges if I got slapped like
Okay.
that. No, because I think, and that's the thing. I mean, she needs to start looking at it objectively and just realize that, hey, this was a situation. Yeah, she made a mistake running up on him like that. I think press charges, absolutely not.
Too much. Okay.
Yeah. No.
How about you, Rob?
I couldn't agree more with Neo, and really, it is Britney. She knows better than to sneak up on a celebrity
Right,
and
right.
make physical contact. The security guard just saw a hand reach up for her shoulder, and his closed hand, not open, closed hand came down. And the angle of the video, now that you mention it, maybe knocked her hand, but to me it looked like she got cold cocked like right in the glasses, and I giggled.
It was a
You
firm.
giggled.
I did because I love watching people do stupid things and get their comeuppance.
You
I
laugh-
love
You
seeing
laughing at
people do
Britney
stupid
Spears get
things
hit in the
and get
face.
their
Like I
comeuppance.
live for it.
I'm laughing at anybody. I'm laughing at anybody that
No.
do that.
That's
Oh
mean.
my god! But
So
you know,
mean,
That's
Rob.
so mean. Rob,
but
you
it's also, I think
probably
it's also
like
kind
when people fall. You probably laugh at when people like fall or like.
Yeah, he does.
oh my
you know,
god!
just a-
Fail videos
There's
on the
no
internet
doubt.
are one of my favorite things. Oh
There's no
my
doubt he
God.
does that.
Absolutely. But let's be honest. Britney Spears' security detail has absolutely roughed up more than one fan. along
There's
the
no
way.
question.
It may not have been publicized, it may not have been blown up, but I promise you that a 40-year-old creeper getting up on teenage Britney may have gotten an elbow, may have gotten a shot
Yeah.
in the gut, maybe a little nut tap to
Definitely.
remind him, hey, you're a little close, that kind of stuff. And as far as pressing charges, no. The worst that, I mean, some kind of aggravated assault, that's the best that she could get to stick. But no, that was her own stupidity. She put herself in
Yeah.
that line.
I
If she
gotta
wanted to engage him, walk up and say, excuse me,
Uh-huh.
hi,
Verbally.
hey, it's Britney. What? Oh my God, it's Britney Spears. Yeah, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, that's different. That's
Mhm.
different.
Don't touch him.
It's very different. Yeah, she absolutely invaded that personal space, and the security detail did exactly what they are paid to do.
All right, real quick.
Yeah. Agree.
So
Agree.
I got some comments online before we get your point, Gianni. Olivia says she said she was swarmed by fans and her security did not lay a hand on anyone. I believe her, but
Good point.
she or her team tried to press charges. The DA didn't take the case. So I don't think it's up to us about charges. Also, Jacqueline Robbins says, poor Britney. She meant well, but it all went south. Now,
Yeah, I
Gianni,
did.
what is your perspective on this nonsense?
I mean, I like I do feel Britney. I feel like she meant well, and she kind of. Because I'm torn. I feel like honestly, Britney, if you didn't use a British accent, it wouldn't have been weird. Because like Rob said, if you would have went up there saying, "Hey, it's Britney Spears, it's Britney, bitch," like anything other than a
Right?
British accent,
It
I
was
think that
so
would have got his
weird listening to that video.
Maybe if she would have used a French accent, I don't know.
attention. Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, I think that I was on Britney's side, but then once we got into it, and
Oh,
I
so you would have
forgot that
changed your mind. We see. I know. Oh, you.
yeah, I can't be on Britney's side. She kind of makes no sense in that case. But initially, I feel bad. 'Cause
Okay,
she
so
meant well.
all right.
like
So
Jackie
before
said.
we change your mind, what were you thinking?
I mean, she did say treat everybody with respect, no matter if you're a fan, you know, no matter if you're a celebrity or fan. So it's true. Even if the security guard was made to guard, he shouldn't have had that much force. They could.
mean-
She's a civilian.
Now, if I will agree with you, if he took his hand and slapped the shit out of her, like she claims, then
She was
I get it.
assaulted.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It didn't look like that to me. It didn't look like he was just trying to just cold cock her. So I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
Her glasses fell off, so I don't know.
Her
I would have been
glasses fell off.
crying if
I
that was
mean,
me.
clearly it hurt. So,
Yeah.
because she reacted to it, so something
Yeah.
happened. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it ended all of that. It ended all of it.
Olivia says maybe
Yeah,
she didn't want something. Maybe she wants something because Britney is famous. I don't know. I don't understand that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Anyway,
Well, I don't think I would have pressed charges either. So that's not
okay,
final.
okay. So you wouldn't
No.
press charges. All right, cool.
No charges.
Okay,
Running
All
up
right.
in a British accent.
all right. Is this true? Lies? Shenanigans?
Come on. This is, of course, some
It's
shenanigans.
Britney, man.
It's Britney, bitch.
Of course it's shenanigans. Of course
Shenanigans.
it's
It's
shenanigans.
Britney.
Nonsense. Nonsense, Britney.
I feel so bad because I could tell Britney's like probably like super flowery, hippie. Well, in that situation. But just in general, I feel like Britney's always in the media. She's always getting like the blonde bimbo, like weirdo, like what's happening to her. She's being kidnapped. I don't know. It's so much going on
She's
with Britney.
she's just
bad.
another example of the Disney machine
Yeah.
destroying people.
The
She's just
Disney machine.
another
Oh, good
example.
point.
Oh, seriously, how many child stars has Disney ruined?
Ruined. I
Yeah.
don't. They've also helped a lot of child stars too. So I don't know.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan's
Mentally,
doing
no.
great.
I mean, you got like six. There's six that they messed up, but there's like hundreds that
man.
they've
They're
helped
the
along.
main ones.
You know what? Let's go back to like
Hold
the
on.
intro and Google
What's
is
the
a
Home
tool that
Alone
can
one?
prove there's more than six. There's more than six.
Yeah.
we'll
that's a good
we'll ask
point.
ChatGPT. All right.
Yeah, we get it.
let's get to this next topic.
Truth, lies,
Chat.
shenanigans.
All right. So the Supreme Court recently ruled against the use of race as a factor in college admissions, in essence, eliminating affirmative action. And they cited the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, basically indicating that affirmative action is itself racist. And some are saying this ruling will lead to what they're calling true equality. And where apparently students are evaluated based upon their individual experiences and achievements and not their race. Others are saying the ruling is an assault on diversity and groups of people that have been marginalized in this country. And the ruling is already having impact on financial aid considerations based on race. So the question,
Yikes.
is this ruling right? Is it time to move towards a society where race doesn't play a role in opportunities and access? Or are we not there yet? And instead, this ruling will lead to more racial disparity. Johnny, we'll start with you.
I mean, your last question hit the nail on the head. But I'm slightly torn because, to be technical, if you take away affirmative action, in a sense, what they're saying is everyone has an equal, like an even playing field. That's what it should be.
Mhm.
But however, there's still groups, like there's still racial groups in this country that are affected by systemic racism. So I want to agree that if we step away from affirmative action and certain certain affirmative action for like jobs and school tuition and things like that. I want to step into that, but I just don't think we're ready.
Out of curiosity,
We still
did
have
you
it.
get any race-based help when you were in college, like financial aid or
Not
anything like that?
not that I can. No. Not scholarships, right? Like you're
Scholarships,
talking about like
right?
free. Oh,
Scholarships
no,
or
no,
financial aid for
no, no, no.
minorities or anything like that? Okay.
Shoot, I wish. It's like, um, but no, I didn't. I did not. I did
Okay.
not. But I
I
can see
did.
how.
I will say I did.
Oh, see, it's so helpful. Like I would want it. I don't care. I would want that. And I
Mhm.
think that I think many people, like I said, we're not finished. We haven't completed racism, so to speak. Like racism is still happening. It's
Oh,
still in our
absolutely.
system. We're not going to completely end it before things like this happen, but we can at least, I don't know, target. Maybe we can target specific things and use affirmative action on specific things, not just race. Like maybe we can use it on people that are poor or
Yeah.
people that are like,
Well, it's saying affirmative action is illegal now. So,
yeah,
but Rob, what do you think?
we can rearrange it though.
Or rearrange it? Oh,
Yeah.
see that you're getting to what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't really put myself in those shoes because I mean, ethnically, okay, I'm francophone. So in Canada, that has afforded me some assistance as far as my post-secondary education is concerned.
Some privilege.
But yeah, so I know that affirmative action has its share of supporters and critics. And when I read both camps, there are valid points in both camps.
Sure.
But as far as the school is concerned, like any organization that is working towards equity needs to constantly review its programs and policies to ensure that they're meeting the needs of the community that they intend to service, right? So it's
Right.
impossible to fully appreciate every applicant's experience and perspectives while turning a blind eye to race and ethnicity. Each individual has to be evaluated because we want to create opportunities for everyone. And let's not forget that whether and wherever these types of scholarships are available, there will always be someone who's trying to access those funds unscrupulously. So
Mhm.
there needs to be a really fair playing field. There needs to be clear cut rules and
Yeah.
guidelines. Yeah.
That's a good
So, I
point.
mean, the university wants to comply with the SCOTUS ruling, so which suggests that race should not be a determining factor in awarding scholarships. But the change is definitely a significant step toward promoting equality and fairness in the allocation of financial aid. But this is the lens of a Canadian white guy, so I can't speak to your experience or fully appreciate it. So this is
But
one of
your
the things I love about
objective
the
view
show.
is good.
Yeah.
Your objective
Mm.
view is good.
So,
Like if you
so as I said, I mean, I got financial assistance to go to school. Well, it wasn't financial assistance. I got considered for the school I went to because they were looking for diversity. So it had something to do with affirmative action. So it wasn't financial assistance based on being a minority, but I was
preference.
considered. I got your preference exactly. Now it helped me. I mean, it helped a lot because I couldn't have afforded it otherwise. I may or may not have gotten
Yeah.
accepted otherwise, if it
Mhm.
wasn't for affirmative action. So it was helpful considering I had good grades and everything. So that helped as well. But,
Yeah.
but otherwise I
Your
might not have got it.
performance.
Now, so on the surface, this is my thought. On the surface, Supreme Court's ruling makes sense, right? If we're aiming for true equality, then we've got to stop making race-based considerations. Just reality. We'll never get past race as a social construct until we stop labeling people and then trying to fit them into boxes solely based upon the way we look. Right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. But here's the thing, and this is why affirmative action was helpful for me. And this is the reason it was put in place to level the playing field for communities that historically have not had access to resources and education because of their race. This country has been a racist country for many, many years. Slavery to civil rights era to Jim Crow. And our community, the Black community specifically, was held back, right? And we've not had the resources and education because of race. Like we had Carlotta Walls Lanier of the Little Rock Nine on our show just a couple of years ago, a couple of seasons ago, talking about her horrific experience trying to integrate, trying to get equal access to education. That was just
crazy.
one generation ago.
Yeah. Yep.
Not to mention, it didn't completely work because what ended up happening is they finagled school boundaries to be based on neighborhoods you lived in, which were themselves
Exactly.
segregated. So although you technically were integrated, you ended up with mostly black schools and mostly white schools.
Anyway, exactly. Good point.
Yeah, gentrification has changed some things right now, so things are a little bit better. You know, now they were saying that these could lead to more merit-based systems where students are rewarded for their hard work and determination. Blah blah blah
Well, how
blah.
do you,
But to Gianni's point, when you have a country with disparities in childhood education, you know, all school has to do is skew their admission requirements so they better fit specific racial groups and ethnic groups, you know, and then the anti-discrimination law is simply not strong enough to counter the effects of those racist people finagling the system, right?
yeah.
Which is why affirmative action was so valuable. You know, the systemic problems haven't been resolved, you know, and without
Which is interesting.
without
that they
affirmative action,
even-
we can't hold them accountable. Go ahead, Johnny.
Why are they even, and I didn't do my research in looking up why this is even a case, but why is affirmative action even being up for consideration to be eliminated? Like, that's so disgusting.
One of the bases is that they're saying
affirmative.
they're saying that affirmative action is racist in and of itself because it's
Okay,
exclusionary.
you did say that.
Yeah, I mean, there have been lawsuits throughout, I mean, since affirmative action was instituted, where white people or people who felt that they were, you know, not considered or did not have an opportunity because, or they felt that, you know, they were qualified, fully qualified, and someone who may not have had the same educational requirements or meet the admission requirements, but were given preferential treatment because they were Black or Hispanic or whatever. So basically, if you have, let's say, 100 slots for a show for a school, right, for admissions for one semester, 1 year, you know, some people were left out and some people were given preferential treatment who should not have been necessarily in that school. I mean, so
I feel like more people in this country benefit more from being white than they do from affirmative action. So I just don't understand why it's even.
And that's what it was about. It was about leveling the playing field, and you know, that's what affirmative action did, and it helped. It helped because there's a lot of people that otherwise would not have gone to college and finished school. Black people, Hispanic people that otherwise would not have had the money, the means, the resources, or even the ability to be accepted at some of these Harvard and all these other schools without it, just because we didn't have the same educational resources in our neighborhoods that other schools did. And so we were able to get a better education going to these colleges, and then we were able to then do well now in society. So people my age, my era, who benefited from affirmative action, now you're seeing some equality or something closer to equality, but that was because of affirmative action. So,
that's true.
And my thought, so basically I think we have to find, unfortunately, this is a reality now, so we just have to find other ways to hold schools accountable. That's what we're going to have to do. All right. A lot of comments online. Let me try to get to some of these comments. I know we're over on time.
That's
Olivia,
crazy.
so college doesn't review every application. I thought they did. Financial aid, I understand about being accepted, about grades. Let's see. Jacqueline Robinson's Justice Jackson's dissent hit the nail on the head. In application, we know that we are a long way from race not being used to determine who gets in schools where people live and whether they are hired. This ruling was a cynical ploy over 40 years in the making, and as quiet as it's kept, white women were the primary beneficiaries of affirmative action. That's actually a good point. She also says the same folks are quite silent about legacy admissions. of less qualified applicants, right? Because their
Mm.
parents donated millions of dollars to institutions.
Yep.
Exhibit A, Jared Kushner, and of course Donald Trump
Mhm.
and the Bushes.
Everybody who has power in this
There's quite a
country.
few. All right.
Right.
Is this truth, lies, shenanigans?
This is an unfortunate truth. First, the abortion thing. Let me stop. Right.
The abortion thing. Yeah, they got rid of
Jinx some tail
abortion.
feathers.
Yeah.
Which, not saying
Truth.
we're not going to talk about it, but I just feel like this country is changing dramatically. Like, things are just majorly shifting within our laws. So it's interesting to see. We're going to see how it
I will
turns.
say it's hard to argue their choices of overturning some of these things because
Yeah.
based upon legal, we shouldn't be deciding things based upon race legally. I mean, the whole
Right.
purpose of the civil rights laws and anti-discrimination laws was so that things weren't decided based on race. Fortunately, we were trying to play catch up also. So you had to kind of balance the two. So legally speaking, they're right, I'd say. But
Legally.
yeah, we still got to play that catch up. That's the problem. All right.
Yeah.
Robbie, let's get to your topic. You've got some things to talk about with this drink.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do this quick. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make it very quick.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, if you haven't heard of Prime Energy drinks, it was introduced January of 2022 by YouTube stars Logan Paul and KSI. That has become a craze among their legions of young followers. So, I've seen videos of kids climbing over one another at checkouts to get their hands on these drinks when they were released. So, the company is currently under scrutiny from lawmakers and health experts over its potentially dangerous levels of caffeine. So on Sunday, Senator Charles Schumer called on the FDA to investigate Prime because each 12-ounce can contains 200 milligrams of caffeine, which exceeds Canada's health limit by 20 milligrams, but it's readily available in the US, the UK, Australia, Denmark, New Zealand, South Africa.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah, so the problem is young children ingesting that much caffeine can cause heart problems, anxiety, and digestive issues, among other things. So, my question is, should products with harmful side effects be regulated, banned, or do consumers reserve the right to choose for themselves? Free market versus government oversight.
Johnny?
I wish it was so like simple, like black and white, but it's not because it's not because you want the freedom of choice in anything you do, right? We were born into this world. We, have human rights. You want a freedom of choice to choose what you want to eat, but your ignorance being bliss, you don't know that it's poison and you're putting it and then you're dying and you're feeding it to the kids and you don't. So I feel like, honestly, I do prefer the banning and regulating of foods because like I said, there's pros to both. But if we think about it, humans, really Americans, let me just talk about Americans real quick. We're so consumed into our everyday life and we're not taking the time to read, ingredients. We're not going to take the time to read the ingredients and look them up on Google and see if they're actually harmful
I
or
do.
beneficial to
I'm
us.
just gonna say I do.
You're a nerd. No, I'm kidding.
No, I do. I look, but that's because
Yes.
I'm on a
That's good,
paleo
though.
diet right now, so I gotta look and make sure.
But we should. I mean, we should have the time to be able to do that. And a lot of people think, well, Americans are just lazy. And I think that not to excuse lazy behavior, but I think Americans were born into this like world where we don't look at labels, we don't read anything, we just buy it. It's a consumer's country. So yeah, I think we should regulate. I'm here for it. Just long story short.
All right. Now, Prime is saying that their drink is no different than other drinks on the market, like Red Bull, and they got a point. And they say the drink comes with a warning label, clear as day, not recommended for children under 18. So, gotta ask, shouldn't parents be the ones controlling what their kids are drinking? We've seen the failure with prohibition in the past, outright bans. They just don't work. So
Regulation works, Theo. Regulation and common sense works because alcohol is a product that causes damage to you over time if it's abused, and it's not available in just, it's not available on the counter. It's
Everywhere.
available in the beer cooler. You have to be of a certain age to check that product out of the store. It should be
True.
with the cigarettes behind the counter. If it can cause harm to you medically, it should be behind a counter. And a child, I think that's the crux of it here, is that Logan Paul and KSI are youth-driven influencers. So
they're marketing towards
I mean,
kids.
that's something to be
Absolutely.
That is
concerned about,
weird.
is the marketing directly towards youth.
Yeah.
So if the FDA
It's
needs to
malicious. You don't have
to do
step
it to
in and
Prime.
control
Like,
that, I'm
label it
fine with
across
that.
all the energy drinks. If we're going to do it to Prime, do it to all the energy drinks.
Right, that's what
Absolutely.
I'm
not
saying,
gonna
right.
single them out. Yeah.
Monster.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't think a full-on ban makes any sense here either. So, but anyway, all right. Is
mean,
this
Who
truth,
drinks that much caffeine?
lies, shenanigans?
Why would
Ignorant
anybody
people,
want
Johnny.
that drink?
Ignorant people drink that much caffeine.
It's like, yeah,
This is
that's
this is
disgusting.
shenanigans. This is corporate greed. This is capitalism gone awry, man. This
No.
is what's wrong with capitalism.
Neo
Listen,
says it's true.
they can-
Why, Neo?
I say it's true because I think they should be allowed to sell what they want. I mean, and parents need to control what their children are drinking anyway.
What? Neo, oh my goodness. I feel like
Parent-
in Neo society, everybody would be like independent, have their own island, and have to like.
I mean, I think we
kill for
overregulate
food.
things anyway.
Oh,
we
Neo
kind of
line.
regulate.
All
We
right,
kind of do.
let's get into our game show. All right, real quick, there were some comments online. Olivia says it's so bad though. There are some things, and they don't declare labels. Jacqueline Ron says, I agree that these products should be regulated. I can't even buy an OTC cold medicine without being asked to show my ID. That's a
Yeah.
good
Oh
point,
my
actually.
goodness,
Good point.
that's true.
All right. Time for our game show. With our guest today, I figured it'd be fun to do some true crime trivia. This
This
quiz
is
is brought to you
scary.
by MagicQuiz.com. We'll go around the horn. The person with the most correct answers, it's the final thought for the show. All right, we're going to start off with Gianni today.
No.
Okay.
I know, because I figured you knew this answer. All right, Gianni, which serial killer was known as the Killer Clown? Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, or Dennis Rader?
Ooh,
The Clown
It's
Killer.
it's between the two in the middle. It's not Dahmer because we are also that story. I think it's the Gacy guy. I think it's John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy. That is correct.
Go with your gut,
Wow.
because he would.
They didn't show the answer. Why didn't they show the answer? That is
Rob.
correct, though. I don't know why it didn't show the answer. I hope it shows
That
the
was a
next
funny-
answer.
That was a
That's gonna
funny
annoy me if they
joke.
don't. All right. Rob B. What famous author wrote In Cold Blood, which detailed the gruesome murders of the Clutter family in 1959?
No clue.
Lizzie would be
In Cold-
screaming at me right now.
I bet our
Um,
guest knows.
Okay, so Truman Capote,
know.
J.D. Salinger, Allen Ginsberg, or Harper Lee. I'm
None of them ring a bell.
gonna go J.D. Salinger.
J.D. Salinger?
No clue. Yeah.
Salinger. Oh,
They're not
Yeah.
giving me the answer?
Amanda Knox. What is going
Amanda
on?
Knox is the answer.
No, it's not giving me the answer for some reason. Let's see.
Oh, maybe
Oh,
we
wait.
could just look it up.
Three, man. I'm so confused.
That's so weird.
Oh, yeah, it's
I
not giving me
know.
the answer. I don't know. It's weird. Let's try that. Hold on. Oh, something's wrong. Yep, something's not working right. All right. You know what? We're going to skip the game today.
We're gonna skip. We're
I
gonna give
think I
Johnny the
would've
win.
won.
We're out of time anyway.
Really?
You got the only right. You got the only right answer. The win is yours.
Gianni wins the game. The only one we know was right. So Gianni, you gotta win by default. We're out of time anyway, so it kind of works out. All right, let's get some shout outs in.
Okay.
All right, Gianni, the winner. Give us some shout outs.
Shout out to Facebook for reminding people when it's people's birthdays. We love that. And shout out to my family and friends that remembered it was my birthday. Thank you.
Happy birthday again. Hold on, we're gonna do it again.
Happy birthday, my friend.
We love the jingle.
All right, Robbie Rock, shout outs.
Like I mentioned at the top of the hour, I want to give a shout out to my wife for 7 amazing years of happiness, personal growth, and development. Thank you so much, Joe, for everything.
I'm gonna have to get a happy anniversary splash. Happy anniversary to both of you. All right, my shout outs to my niece Simone. We had a great time this weekend, and I want to apologize for whooping your butt in bowling.
Oh, that's so fun. That's lit.
All right. That is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. We hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, or simply had some laughs with us. Look for us live again next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And look for our official audio episode this Friday and every Friday, well, almost every Friday, on Apple Podcasts, Pods Network, that's Pods with a Z, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And Gianni Storm, our final thought for the show. Close us out.
I finally win. Actually, shout out to our guest, Jeremy. I thought it was very heartwarming for you to share your story and book, of course. But also just what he said was interesting that, police officers do get a lot of slack. I understand why, but just as a human to human, I understand that we all go through things that are life altering. So Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I hope that your story touches people and helps somebody in some way. Thanks.
Oh, love that, Gianni.
That's really sweet. That's really sweet.
Well, thank you, Robbie Rock, Gianni, and our guest, author Jeremy Luberts. But most importantly, every week we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. Have a great week, everyone. See you next week.